I want to call to order the Amberley Village Council meeting of August 8th. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak.
Here.
Ben Hunt.
Here.
Tom Muthing.
Here.
Keely Paul.
Here.
Jay Schatz.
Here.
Darrell Wood.
Here.
Scott Larmer.
Here.
Andrew Kakey.
Here.
Chief Wallace.
Here.
Rick Kay.
And if all members of the council and staff could remember to make sure you turn on your microphone when you speak. We've had a couple instances recently where people haven't. It's just hard to hear on the video, so please make sure you do that. And if everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to our council meeting. First item on the agenda is our minutes from our last meeting of July 11. Those were circulated in advance in the package. Are there any comments with respect to those minutes? Seeing none, we can consider the minutes approved. We'll now have the finance report for June 2022.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to report on the general fund status as of the end of June 2022. During the month of June, the village took in $300,000 in earnings tax, and our year-to-date collections sits at $2.2 million. So that represents about 67% of our estimate, which is $3.4 million of earnings tax for the general fund. Overall, for the general fund, we're anticipating about $5.7 million of revenue, and thus far we have collected $3.5 million, so we're sitting at a 62% collection rate for funds for the general fund. On the expense side, the month of June was a higher expense month because it caught up with some retroactive pays, and the expenses for the month of June was $563,000. Our year-to-date expenses are $2.7, which represents spending about 45% of the budget for 2022. Our budget is $6.1 million. We ended the month of June with an unencumbered general fund balance of $6.3 million. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the manager? Not, we'll move on to the next item. And this is, we're privileged to have our employee service recognition this evening. We tried to do this back in June, and those that were here, including Officer Frisch's family, will recall that that was an evening where we had some very bad storms, and in typical Amberley fashion, all of the members of our department that were going to be recognized quickly went out and dealt with the storm. So it looks like tonight we'll be able to do this without interruption. So I will first turn it over to the village manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, there are various ways that our employees are shown appreciation. Obviously, council appropriates the funds for pay for the employees. The village provides excellent health benefits for full-time employees, and our employees have a nice complement of other benefits. There's also recognition in our employee payday news each month, recognizing birthdays and anniversary dates. I also give each employee a UDF ice cream cone on their birthdays, so that's something that they look forward to. Council obviously appropriates money and provides the gift cards during the holidays. So we're very blessed as Amberley Village employees to be here. But this year we began a formal recognition program for our employees, since our employees are our greatest asset, and we started in February and embarked on a program where we'll recognize the employees for each of the 5 years of service. So employees will receive a lapel pin denoting their service years to the village, and then they're also provided a gift card from a business of their choosing. And so the gift card is graduated in value commensurate with their years of service. It starts at $25 for 5 years of service and goes all the way up to $150 for somebody who achieves 40 years of service. So in addition to those employees celebrating a milestone year, they're also invited to come to council and be recognized in front of Village Council, which is very important to us. So tonight we're here to recognize 5 of the employees that have reached those particular milestones. So the first one up is Ryan Fair. Ryan's in the back. Come on up, Ryan. Mayor, come on forward. So Ryan is being recognized tonight for his 5 years of service with the village. He started with Amberley Village in May of 2017. But he's no stranger to police work. In the 11 years prior to coming here, Ryan worked for the Deer Park Police Department, the Summit Behavioral Health Care, and Silverton, and that's where I met Ryan, when he worked for Silverton. He's a graduate of the University of Cincinnati, and he holds multiple training certifications in several areas. At Top Gun Academy, Ryan was first in class for fire, and he was nominated top cop by America's Most Wanted for subduing a mental health patient wielding machete. So Ryan works primarily at night, so we don't often see Ryan in the daylight. But one of his claims to fame is saving the life of what turned out to be a fairly famous dog that was later named Chance by village employees, and this was just a few years ago. And Chance was fortunate that an animal lover like Ryan was determined to help him, as Chance was found as severely malnourished. He was a boxer, malnourished, and he had serious injuries. He was found in French Park. But Officer Fair was able to get the dog to Deer Park Veterinarian Clinic Hospital, and more than $2,500 was raised through a GoFundMe page and to help pay for the expenses. And the folks who initially had spotted Chance, they were interested in adopting him when he was well enough. So Chance has been featured on quite a few local news stations, and it's an example of Ryan's dedication to the village. So Ryan is married to Holly, and they have a 4-year-old son, Ashton. And when Ryan is not working, he and his son are at the park or at Kings Island, living the good life. So Ryan, thank you for your service to the village on your 5-year anniversary. Thank you very much. Thanks, buddy. Mm-hmm. And next up is Raven Jackson. Raven, come on up. So Raven is a dispatcher for the Amberley Village Police Department. And while attending the University of Cincinnati, Raven completed a voluntary internship with our police department. She earned her degree in criminal justice and psychology, and she returned to the village a few years later as a part-time dispatcher. And tonight we are celebrating 5 years of Raven's dedication to service with the village, which her role is crucial to the community, but it's even more so for the safety of our officers. And Raven does a great job. And outside of dispatching, some things to know about Raven, that she is a private chef, and she's very passionate about her catering business called Raven's Creations. Raven has cooked for professional athletes, she's cooked for entertainment artists, brides, and even a few Amberley Village residents. Raven is also the co-founder of a nonprofit called Change the Cycle, which focuses on distributing feminine hygiene products to shelters in Greater Cincinnati and Botswana, Africa. And in her downtime, she enjoys spending time with her family and traveling the world. And Raven lives by a motto, and it's be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. And she strives to spread happiness and positivity wherever she goes, and especially here in the office and dispatch. So congratulations, Raven, on your 5 years with the village.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next is Ryan Shaw. Come on up, Ryan. So Ryan Shaw is a Marine Corps veteran. He's one of our 2 veterans in our organization here, and he is a sergeant with Amberley Village Police Department. And Ryan joined the Marine Corps after high school graduation, after which he graduated from Hocking College's Ranger Services program. And his career in law enforcement began in corrections with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office in January of 1999. And moving on, Ryan went to the Sharonville Police Department as an officer, and then Ryan joined the Ohio National Guard, and then he also became a Hamilton County Park Ranger in 2003. But in 2004, he was deployed to Kosovo for a United Nations peacekeeping mission, and then the following year, he was deployed to assist after Hurricane Katrina. So he's had quite a few stints here. And after 12 years of military service, Ryan left to join Amberley Village Police Department in 2007. And in 2015, Ryan was promoted to sergeant here in our village. So Ryan is also a resident of the village, and he enjoys spending time with his wife Anna and their 2 daughters, Allie and Jocelyn. And he loves watching his girls play club volleyball. So congratulations, Ryan, on your 15 years of service to the village. Thank you, Brad. Our next employee is Patty Earls. Patty, come on up. Patty began her dispatching career in 1994. So we're celebrating quite a few years tonight with Patty. She's one of our 25-year anniversary employees. But she began her dispatching career in 94 with the St. Bernard Police Department, working part-time. And at the same time, she was working a full-time day job and raising her daughter, Amanda. And in 1997, Chief Monahan offered Patty a full-time position with the Amberley Village Police and Fire Department, and she was one of the first civilian hired dispatchers with the department. And so Patty is celebrating 25 years with the department and celebrated that actually last month on July the 14th. But since joining the department, Patty has become a certified communications training officer. She is trained in several other areas pertaining to dispatch and communications, such as incident tactical training, national incident training, ALICE training and active shooter training, emergency medical dispatch, CPR, AED, first aid, just to name a few, along with meeting all of our in-house training requirements. And Patty also takes care of the village census and business information, and she always invites new residents to pick up a new resident packet when they have moved to the community, and she likes to share that share information with the new residents. But Patty enjoys working for the village, and you can tell in Patty's work that she takes pride in being able to match the voices that she hears over the phone to the folks, the residents, when they come in. So she likes to match up those names and those faces. And she certainly finds fulfillment in being able to help people in an emergency and looks forward to another, what she says, 6 years before she's eligible to retire. We think it's going to be longer than that, though. Patty and her husband Danny have been married for 10 years, and they live in Coleraine Township, and they enjoy traveling and spending time with their children and their 2 Frenchies, which are French bulldogs, Irma and Chetley. So congratulations, Patty, for your 25 years of service. Congratulations, Patty. And last is Chris Fritsch. Chris solidified his career path while he was still in high school at the village of Laughlin as a member of both the police and the fire explorers. So he went on to graduate from Hocking College with a science degree in ranger services, and then to the police academy where he completed his police training. And before joining the Amberley Village Police Department in 1997, Chris served with the Village of Laughlin and as a park ranger with the Hamilton County Park District. But Chris began his service with Amberley as a full-time dispatcher, so he started out in dispatch, and then he was hired as a full-time police officer and firefighter within his first year of being here. So tonight we celebrate Chris's 25th anniversary with Amberley Village. And Chris's service and dedication has made Amberley Village a better place to work and a better place to live. So Chris, among other things, is our senior patrol officer. He's our department trainer. He's a certified fire inspector. He's the regional dive team commander. He's our grant officer, and he's the fire department captain. So he also brings a breadth of knowledge about wildlife and natural resources to the village. And when Chris is not serving in a professional capacity, he loves to spend time with his wife Sherry, who is here this evening, and their 3 sons, Nate, Zachary, and Parker, who's here as well this evening. And hunting and fishing and enjoying water sports on Lake Cumberland is Chris's thing. So congratulations, Chris, on your 25 years of service with the village. Congratulations.
And I want to thank the village manager for this. And I think it highlights to us all, we all know how lucky we are as residents to have, the staff that take care of us. But when you hear how talented our staff is, I think it just highlights so much more how lucky we are. So thank you very much. We'll now move on to the next item on the agenda. And for those in attendance, including families, et cetera, you should not feel that you need to stay for the rest of this agenda. Thank you very much for everything you do, and again, congratulations.
It's an act of mercy on the part of the mayor.
Okay, before you this evening is ordinance number 2022-4, and as chair of the Finance Committee, I will introduce this. The Finance Committee met, I believe it was last week, and I think it's important before we get into the ordinance, the Finance Committee reviewed the June financials in this meeting, and I think we review the financials every month, but it's especially important when we're at the mid-year, we get a good view of how the year's going. And I think, as indicated by the village manager, the revenues and expenses are going very well for us. So I think that's an important background as we consider this ordinance. Revenues, I made a prediction at the last Finance Committee that the revenues are going to come in excess of budget. And I think expenses, we are experiencing some pressure because of inflation and things like that, but I think the village staff are doing a great job keeping the expenses in line, so I'm comfortable with the level of expenses too. So I want to talk about this ordinance a little bit. Normally, we amend appropriations later in the year, but we knew coming into this year because of the Farmcrest Road project that we would have to amend them earlier. We knew that the Farmcrest project was going to require some amendments to the streets and the stormwater, but we couldn't do it earlier because we didn't know what level of expenses it was, and then we didn't want to wait. We wanted to wait till the contract. In addition, what we originally thought was we might be able to spread this over 2 years. This is not possible. We have to with the raising of the purchase order on this contract, we have to have the appropriate appropriations in place. So, the first thing is, in section 1, I'm proposing to increase the one aspect that is not related to FarmCrest is we're proposing to increase by $60,000 to cover increased costs associated with fuel and utilities, and this is directly attributable to the higher energy prices. So this is the one aspect of the inflationary impact on the village that we wanted to take care of now. Anything else, which we think will be much smaller, we'll take care of later in the year. Next, we need to increase on the street fund and the stormwater utility. We have to increase we want to be able to transfer $172,620 to the street fund and $259,710 to the stormwater utility. And that is, so again, the expenses for the project will be paid from those two funds, so we want to get money into that fund. That total of $432,000, we have to raise appropriations for the full amount of the contracts, even though Greater Cincinnati Waterworks will be reimbursing us in excess of $500,000 for their portion of the project, which is the water main replacement on the north and south FarmCrest. So we're proposing to increase appropriations by $432, but it's more than covered by over $500,000 we will get back from Greater Cincinnati Waterworks later in the year, and that money will come into the general fund to offset that. The last part in section 1 of the appropriation is to propose increasing the appropriations by $83,600 to allow a transfer to the capital project fund. And again, this was something that when we did the budget, we had in the budget the cost of a boom arm mower that we were going to share the cost with Sims Township. And so our original thought was, well, we'll raise a purchase order for half the cost and Sims will raise a purchase order for the other half. Well, that did not sit well with the supplier. They wanted to deal just with one party. So we're going to raise the purchase order, or did raise the purchase order for the full amount, and then Sims is going to reimburse us. So the Sims reimbursement will show as revenue to us, but we have to have appropriations to cover the cost. So we have to increase that. So that covers section 1 of that. Section 2 really has the carry-on impact. Again, as somebody in college who got his degree in accounting, the thing that I did by far the worst in was fund accounting. I hated fund accounting. And this is directly attributable to fund accounting. So we've got the general fund, but now we have to cover the cost in these other funds. So for instance, we just talked about transfers into the street fund. Now we have to appropriate the funds in the street fund. So we're proposing to increase appropriations by $691,835 in the street fund. So we originally appropriated $1.2 million in the 2022 budget. Then I think it probably was the March or April meeting, we approved using the funds from the local fiscal recovery fund, which was the money we got from the federal government to help cover the street fund. That went into another fund, the local recovery fund. So that money will be transferred into the streets fund, but we have to appropriate it so that the streets fund can pay it. That's $370,000. And then we also, I just mentioned the $173,000 that we are transferring from the general fund into the street fund. So we basically are increasing the appropriations for these funds that are transferring into the street fund to cover the cost. So that's what that's 691,000. We have to do a similar thing with the stormwater utility. The stormwater utility we increase appropriations by $578,480. We appropriated $200,000 at the time of the 2022 budget, and then we just talked about the transfers from the general fund of $260,000, but then there was also balance in the stormwater utility that brings us up to the proposed increase in appropriations of $578,480. Those two appropriations will now take care of all the work that's being done on North and South Farmcrest, as well as the streets program that we're doing in the western portion of the village. And then two other things, we had to increase appropriations in the permissive motor vehicle license fund, another fund, by $17,822. Again, we had appropriated $50,000 in the 2022 budget for that, but there's more in that fund that we can use for the streets program. The permissive motor vehicle license fund is when we get money back from the state for our license tags and things like that, it goes into the permissive motor vehicle license fund. The money we get back from the gas tax goes into the streets fund. So again, this transfer will go into the streets fund. And then finally, the local fiscal recovery fund, we did get a small amount in from that fund that we have not previously appropriated. And the reason we got this small amount of $740.82 in is there was, hard to believe that this happened, but some communities turned down their money that was available from the federal government, and so that has been reappropriated, and we got this massive amount of $740. Other communities got more, obviously, but we got that, so we have to increase appropriations for that. So that's Section 2. Section 3 in the appropriations relates to the capital fund, and again, this is fund accounting again. We talked about the $78,000 that we had to, or the money that we had to transfer from the general fund, but now the appropriations in the capital fund need to be increased by $78,000, again, primarily to cover the increased amount that we have to cover for the boom arm mower. And again, that money will come back from Sims Township. So that's Section 3. And then finally, in Section 4, the proposal is to increase appropriations in the Mercy Tax Increment Equivalent Fund, otherwise known as our TIF fund, and we're proposing to increase that by $20,000. When we did the appropriations in the 2022 budget, the only thing we appropriated in that fund was the funds that we were going to have to pay back the Cincinnati School District. Money comes into that fund from property tax that are paid by the tenant and the owner of the property at the north site. But some of that has to be repaid to Cincinnati School District, and that's all part of the agreement. But you'll hear later on in the presentation, the $20,000 is going to be used to put a new sign up for our two tenants at the front of the north site. So that's what that $20,000 is for. And that's it. So those are the four sections of that. So I hereby move that we approve ordinance 2022-4.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2022-4. Are there any questions on fund accounting?
We need to get you a bottle of water.
Seeing no questions, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2022-4. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. Ben Hunt.
Yes.
Tom Muthing.
Yes.
Keely Paul.
Yes.
Jay Schatz.
Yes.
Dara Wood.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewers Committee.
Tough to follow that economics course. Like you, I did not have the proper schooling to talk about natural gas aggregation, but I will try in the absence of Councilman Rosen, who's chair of this committee. In the simplest terms, in a complex area, the village continues to work to get the best possible price for natural gas for its residents. And part of the complicated behind-the-scenes aspect that we're dealing with is giving the village manager the authorization to enter into an agreement and, for lack of a better phrase, jump on a good price when our brokers provide that to him. So you have before you a motion and action that will give Scott the power to do that as we continue to extend this program, which is another important point, for 2 years, which is an eternity in the natural gas aggregation negotiation area. But Scott, would you like to add anything to that?
The only thing I just want to add is that, as Councilmember Schatz expressed, we will be going out for RFP on this. We should have some prices here real soon, and so I would expect that there'll be a commitment made over the next couple of weeks. And at the next council meeting, I should be able to report to you as to what that rate is going to be. And as Councilmember Schatz indicated, it's up to a 2-year period. But if we find that the rates are not favorable, well, we could do merely a 12-month contract. But it is ready for council's adoption. Thank you.
And before we vote on this, I would like to say I hope that we continue to make sure our residents understand what an amazing service this is for them, an opportunity for them, and really yet another way the village continues to find ways to save money, how we operate and how our homeowners operate their homes. So I believe I need a motion on this. It's Resolution 2022-18.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2022-18. Second.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-18, authorizing the village manager to enter into an agreement for the natural gas aggregation. Are there any questions or comments? The only thing I would add is that, again, this is part of the opt-out program, so residents would get a letter in the mail in the month of September related to that opt-out. If you want to stay in it, you don't have to do anything. You just stay in the program. The letter is part of the requirement. You get a letter just informing you that you have an option to opt out, but you can do nothing and just stay in. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-18. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously. And thank you, Jay, for standing in. We'll now move on to the Land Development Committee, which is your committee.
This I feel more comfortable talking about. The issue we're going to talk about is approval of a plan that has been worked on for quite a while. And I think before I turn it over to the village manager, just say it's kind of a good news, good news situation. The good news is an incredible collaboration going on between a variety of communities, which is rare. And I know Scott has devoted a lot of time and energy, and I think it's, as we'll see tonight, paying off. The bad news is the complexity. The Reading Road corridor is what this is about, and it's not an easy, it's a big problem with no easy solutions. Back to good news, we have the beginning of a roadmap to get us to improving the quality of that stretch and in turn hoping that we can improve some of the saleability of properties in Amberley. Scott, do you want to talk about, I know this has been a long time coming.
Sure it has. The village has been involved with this project, and we refer to it as the Reading Road Corridor. And as Councilmember Schatz indicated, it's into jurisdictions that are coming together to help in this situation. So we've partnered with the City of Cincinnati, with the City of Reading, with Sycamore Township, with Hamilton County, with the Roselawn Community Council, and the Roselawn Business Alliance, along with Amberley Village. Now, we do not have any part of Reading Road Corridor within our corporation limits, but we do have two businesses that is their front door. So Pepsi Bottling Company, as well as Procter & Gamble, located here in the village. Their address on Sunnybrook leads directly to the Reading Road Corridor. So it's important for us from that standpoint to make sure that their entry continues to improve. And as Councilmember Schatz indicated, the other opportunity we have here is to bring attention to the Reading Road Corridor, because that will help us with the marketing of 2100 Section Road, which is referred to as the Cincinnati Center Industrial Point Site. I may have gotten those words backwards there. But that's very important to us because that is our future economic development. And so this particular plan has a steep history in regards to bringing all those communities together and establishing a land use plan for that area. As most of you know, that Reading Road Corridor used to be a very active area. Used to be a shopping district for village residents. Certainly, its heyday was several years ago. It certainly has been in decline for probably the last 20 years at least, and there's just some tough issues to deal with in that area. But the village's approach here is that we want to see the Reading Road Corridor to improve. We want it to stabilize, and the best way for us to be involved with that is through endorsing this particular plan, which is pretty much a roadmap for how the land could be redeveloped in that area. You're probably familiar that there are some properties there that are rather undesirable on Reading Road, and so this plan helps us to get to that point instead of putting something there that maybe is not as desirable. So with this plan that is before you this evening, we believe that it's going to greatly help that community and our community as well, but it also is going to require a significant amount of follow-up and implementation. I'll turn it back to Councilmember Schatz.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for all the time that's gone into this. I do think it's worth noting that there was somebody from the Roselawn Community Council at the meeting. Even though it was our meeting, I mean, it reflects the spirit that Amberley enters into this. And it was expressed during the meeting to the heads of the committee that it's our hope, obviously, that Roselawn continues to be an integral part of developing this plan and, more importantly, executing it. The other thing is there was a general feeling that, the plan kind of stopped short for us. We wish it went Reading all the way down to Section, and so our language of endorsing the plan reflects also a desire to move the planning and the work further south towards Summit. Any questions on that? I think I need a motion for approval.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-19, which formally endorses the collaborative work on the Reading Road Corridor Plan. Obviously, this work is going to continue. They just are looking for an endorsement at this point. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-19. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
And Mayor, if I can make one more note, I know if you have an opportunity to read the plan cover to cover, it's really well written, and at least for me as a new council member, is a primer on what's been going on there and what needs to happen. So I would encourage everybody to read it and save it, because it's a great reference, I think, for that entire corridor.
Okay, we'll move on to the public buildings and parks. Committee.
Our last meeting was last week, August 1st, and we had two topics of discussion. Our first one was the salt barn that is at the north site. It was damaged this past winter by a salt delivery truck, and it damaged both the structure as well as the fabric cover. So our salt dome is what I'm going to describe as non-traditional, in that it has a solid base with a metal rib structure that then has a fabric cover. The name of this product, or at least this brand, is called Bright Span. So both the fabric and the structure were damaged by a salt delivery truck. So part of this will be covered by insurance, minus the deductible. Beyond that, due to the age and condition of the cover, so the fabric part, we decided that it was a good time to just replace it. So we have a bid from Greystone Construction to repair the rib structure and to put on a new cover for the salt barn at the north site. So the price is approximately $25,000, and then that will be less the insurance reimbursement. Does anybody have any questions?
One question, I guess you determined who caused the accident?
Yes, so the accident was not reported at the time, but using video footage, we did determine when and who damaged, and the insurance company, the reason they're not mentioned here is because our insurance company will pursue them. So they pay us, and then they pursue the salt delivery truck. Any other questions?
Is the thought will be reimbursed for the entire amount?
Will be reimbursed for approximately $13,000 of the 25, and that is because part of that is not the repair, but the new fabric cover.
Any other questions?
Okay, so we're ready for a motion for resolution 2022-20.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-20, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract with Greystone Construction for the repair of the salt facility. Are there any other questions? If not, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-20. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously.
Okay, so our second topic last week was a sign for the north site. So Mercy Health has been one of our businesses at the north site for quite some time now. And it was believed that their existing Mercy Health sign was expandable so that another business name could be added to the sign. However, when Lewis Animal Hospital moved up to the north site, we discovered that that was not true, and that we would not be able to expand the existing sign, which is Mercy Health's sign. So after much discussion, we decided that we would, we're gonna pull up Mercy Health's sign, and it's actually going to be returned to them because I believe they think they're going to use this at another location. But we're going to put in a sign that has space for 4 businesses, of which 2 would already be filled, so Mercy Health and Lewis Animal Hospital. And then there will be a topper on the sign that will label that location, and so it will say Amberley North Site. And then, and if there's any, Lewis Animal Hospital does currently have a temporary sign up. However, obviously that's not viable long term. And then the new sign will cost approximately $28,000, and that's going to be split across Mercy Health, Lewis Animal Hospital, and the village. Does anyone have any questions? Sure.
Yes. Don't know much about commercial real estate, but is that common that a municipality kicks in for a sign?
Well, since we're sort of so part of our agreement with Lewis Animal Hospital is that they will be provided with a sign.
Got it, okay.
Okay, and pardon me, I'm gonna say yes, based on the fact that one is sort of a tenant and the other one is part of their contract.
Okay.
Yes, we do need to make sure there's signage for the north site. But Lewis Animal Hospital and Mercy Health have two different relationships with us.
And is it gonna say on the sign Amberley North Site, or can
Yeah,
we,
the top
can
row
we
will
think of
say-
something more appealing than Amberley North Site? I mean, can it,
So, I mean, I'm.
just throwing it out there,
I'm
not
welcome
yet.
to discussion,
So
and
that's
I'm
fine.
welcome to suggestions.
Right.
But this was actually the topic of much discussion. And we decided that just as many commercial parks or business districts have just a simple name, frankly, we decided to just go with the name that already exists for the Amberley North site. There was also a lot of discussion about the fact that many of us have had discussions with people saying, well, the north side, it's just in this location, and people are like, no, there's nothing there. And you have to, I mean, many of us have had this discussion with members of the village, residents of the village, as well as people who are not from the village, trying to explain where the north side is. And it actually having a label actually has a lot of, we think, benefit. But if you do have other suggestions, the sign is.
No, I
already
would just
there.
suggest dropping the word site. I mean, Amberley North could be a nice name for,
Oh. Well,
as opposed to what you'd see on a plat.
but since we have for a long time called it the north side, we also, one of the benefits was it helps in marketing the area. Like, where is that? Well, now it has a sign on it. But you are correct, I understand how potentially the sign name is not the sexiest name we could have come up with. But thank you. Anyone, other questions? All right, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2022-21. We've got to move past the twos.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-21, authorizing the village manager to purchase a sign for the Amberley Village North site. Any other questions? And it's worth noting that where that sign is, that's actually land that's owned by Hamilton County, and Hamilton County has allowed us to put a sign on the property, but only one sign. And so again, I think it is a unique property in that, you know, the businesses have nice frontage on Ronald Reagan, but otherwise you can't see them. So that sign has a lot of importance to those businesses.
It's also a six-way intersection, which
Yeah.
leaves a lot to be desired.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-21. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously. And thank you. We'll now move on to the Police and Fire Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Police and Fire Committee met on August 2nd, last Tuesday. We heard our chief's report, and as always, I just want to thank the chief and our police department for the fantastic jobs that they do. It's always interesting hearing the experiences and what has happened recently, and as a village resident, I feel like I need to always make sure to mention we appreciate everything that you all do and to keep us safe. So we appreciate that, and we specifically heard a little bit about Officer Creed and a little bit more. I learned more about K-9 units in our last meeting than I think I ever had known, and a fantastic program, and we appreciate Officer Creed and Officer Alt for her work with Officer Creed. Now, that being said, tonight we have one item for council's consideration. The chief had reported to us the need to replace 8 outdated radios that are still being used by emergency personnel. This has been part of a multi-year trying to roll out a couple new radios every year or two. So it's part of a phased program. The purchase of these new radios will be purchased with a discount, resulting in a direct savings in a per-cost unit as well. So the chief has informed the committee that he expects to be able to resell the old radios to a local school. So we will also see a little bit of revenue come back as well from those old radios. So tonight, before you, we would like to consider Resolution 2022-22, authorizing the manager to purchase 8 new Motorola radios from Mobilecom. Are there any questions? All right, I'd like to move that the council consider Resolution 2022-22.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 2022-22, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract for the purchase of the radio. Any questions? No? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-22. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Being noted that that resolution passed unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We'll now move on to the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to report on a couple of items out of the manager's report. We have a very significant project going on this summer. It'll go on for the next year and a half, and it's the North and South Farmcrest Street reconstruction. I think the mayor has advised residents to stay out of that area, and that advice should be heeded because it is a bit of a mess, certainly for the residents in that area. But just wanted to report in terms of the status of it. It's currently stormwater work is being performed there right now, and that should wrap up sometime towards the end of August. And that's just in time for our next contractor to begin the water line work that will occur in there. And so that'll take place during September, and it'll take probably about 12 weeks to complete that. So a total replacement of all the water lines in that subdivision. So this is a $2 million project, very significant for the village, very significant for the residents as well. And then we also have another project going on, and this would be the project referred to as Elbrook, Meadow Ridge, and Bluegrass. So that is a water main replacement followed up by a resurfacing project for those 3 streets. So that is currently underway. What you're seeing out there right now is the water lines being replaced, and then we anticipate that later this month, probably towards the end of the month, the repaving will begin of those 3 streets. So pretty significant reinvestment back into the community to keep our infrastructure in top shape. The second item I wanted to mention is that we do have a vacancy on the Human Rights Commission. Monica Lear has submitted her resignation, and so this is an appointment that would go through the 2023. So the village will begin recruiting and see if there's anybody that's interested in the serving on the Human Rights Commission to replace Monica. And the last item is some of our most exciting news, which is our ice cream social that's coming up this month. So August 28th from 1 till 4 p.m. And we're so excited because this will be the first time that we have been in person as opposed to the drive-through. And while we love the drive-through approach, we're so looking forward to getting back to in-person so that we can see residents and interface with them. We've got some great things planned. Tammy Reesner is our chairperson for the ice cream social this year. So she's got her hands full, but she has some great plans and some great ideas, and I think you're all going to absolutely love it. So make sure that you plan on being at the ice cream social on August the 28th in the afternoon. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the manager? If not, we'll move on to the chief's report.
I'm just going to tag on to the manager here. So my assignment for the ice cream social is finance. So this is my plea out there that anybody who wants a sponsor. I know a number of council members and other people have sent sponsorships in. We're way down from what we have been in the past. I do anticipate one larger donation to come in later in October, but again, if you want your name on the board and signs out there, obviously it takes a village to get this thing off, so employees put a lot of work into it, so any support we can get to help make task easier on Tammy and less burdensome on Scott's budget really helps us a lot. Thank you.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, move on to the mayor's report. I really don't have much tonight. The next Environmental Stewardship Committee meeting, which is scheduled for September 26th. However, we're going to be moving that meeting, and we haven't finalized a date. That date is in conflict with the High Jewish holidays, so we're going to be moving the date of that meeting. But we'll come up with that date. And that's really all I have for the meeting this evening.
And Mayor, one last thing is, at the conclusion of the meeting, Officer Fritz is staying around to do a demonstration of a piece of equipment that we're looking at purchasing. We spent a lot of time out there picking up people off the ground and stuff like that, and Chris has came across some equipment, so we're going to do a little demo if anybody wants to stay and watch it. Appreciate it.
Okay, any new business?
I just want to take the opportunity to thank the mayor and the council for appointing me to serve on the council and be a member with you all, and for the kind welcome that you've all given me, and to the extraordinary staff of Amberley Village for the warm welcome that you have all given me, and to help kind of catch me up on things. I'm really looking forward to serving the community and to working with all of you.
I just had one note, the Health and Wellness Committee, we meet this Wednesday. We do bi-monthly meetings this Wednesday at 4:30 in the community room. And among topics of conversation, Pickup Pickleball has been a big success. We had actually so many residents last week at Pickup Pickleball that we had to wait. People were waiting. We had 16 total people there during that evening pickleball session. So we'll be discussing kind of the next steps of how to keep that growing. Oh, yes, absolutely. Then the mayor just kindly reminded me, I had the honor a few weeks ago to work with the Hattenback family. As many of you know, Ed Hattenback served here in the council for many years, and his family thought that it was appropriate to create a scholarship that was open to the employees of the village, specifically for college tuition to the college of their choice. So I was asked by the mayor to work with the family in consultation with them as far as choosing our winners. And 3 weeks ago, we met with those winners and got to have a nice little ceremony here to congratulate them on being chosen. The first year that 2 different families were honored. I'm off the top of my head. I'm forgetting last names. My apologies. I know Vaughn and Bloom. Thank you. So both honored and received that scholarship for their college tuition.
So again, that's a scholarship that's open to family members of our staff. And the Hattenback family, are envisioning maybe some other contributions to it, but they envision this fund being there for a long time.
Just a reminder, I've mentioned at a previous meeting that we have some classes going on at the Amberley Community Garden that's up on Amberley Green. And actually right now, tonight, we're missing it, is a garden cooking class. And then the 17th is a composting class, and I think we can all remember that both Natalie and I have composting near and dear to our hearts. So that's the 17th, and then there's going to be another cooking class on September 12th, and entrepreneurial gardening, no, I don't know what that is, on September 25th. So those are actually happening right up at the screen.
Anything else? If not, we can consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you.